out the way first. Obviously, the fight from the FA. You'll have seen there's been a huge amount of support for you over it. I'd like to know, I know at the time you were very disappointed, I'd like to know how you're feeling about it now and whether you plan to take things any further.
No, I don't think there's any point in taking it any further, really, because probably similar situation, similar commission, so I have to take it on the chin, that's all. I'm disappointed in the first two charges. I didn't think they warranted being proven guilty, if I'm honest. Not when we showed an article that Sarri said about referees less than 3 weeks ago, and he never got a charge. So we were disappointed in that. But I can understand where they were coming from with Sharon's comments, because you don't condone violence with referees and things. So, so at least she's paying half the fine. So it's I haven't got to pay her for a start. But it's disappointing. I think when you get an institute like the FA, as big as it is, I find it disappointing that they're allowed to bring in an outside barrister to prove the case against me and have all my information on what my arguments are for 3 to 4 weeks and get his head around it. I think that's a bit out of order, if I'm honest. So, but other than that, no, we'll live to fight a day now, and that's on we go now.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know whether you're aware of this crowdfunding that's been going on. I mean, there's a lot of support behind you.
Yeah, well, I hope they provide the full lot, but it would go to a charity. It'll probably go to one of the there's some lovely charities around here. So
I'll move on for it now. Just the last question on it, though. You're a man who likes to speak your mind. Do you feel that these sorts of things emasculate managers who would like to speak their mind?
Well, I think everything's changed now. The scope that you can't say now is pretty much everything, really. They probably just want robot managers now, don't they? Or managers that don't speak English. I think that's the way it's going, really. The humour's gone out of the game now, and I don't really know what else to say, really. I'll just have to say no comment, won't I? I'll be a boring person now.
No, it's a difficult one. Frustrating. Let's look then at some this weekend. Just touching on what happened with Fulham. Obviously, we spoke to some of the players who desperately disappointed, feeling that they, to an extent, let you down, apart from that last 10 minutes. Did you feel it was a killer blow, that match, or are you still coming out of this sort of feeling, well, I might be reeling, but we're still fighting?
Well, we should have got a result. What disappointed me is that I'm not surprised the players have spoke to one or two, because I was disappointed in the first half in particular. I felt we could get on the front foot, and it never materialised that, really. Like you say, only until we scored a goal did we start dominating it, and that was the biggest disappointment. It wasn't my team selection. I mean, I did say selection, but it was only the odd, probably one change that I wish I'd have made, that's all.
So how are you feeling now? I mean, coming into this Crystal Palace game, is there a sense of, well, we'll just see what happens? Are you still feeling, no, we can do this? And what's the Neil Warnock mindset?
Well, I think we've got to win that game first. If we don't win the game against Palace, we forget it, can't we? So we just concentrate on that game, really. Against the side, I think away from home, probably they play the best football away from home with the forwards that they've got and everything. But I think it's what I'm looking forward to. It's a great crowd. I love the Palace fans as well. They were really good to me, When I was there, we re-signed Wilfred, to the club. And I thought that was important at the time, and he's done really well. I know Cardiff, he was probably disappointing a little bit here, but he had a lot on his mind, and Manchester United let him down badly, really, talking to the lad when I signed him. And now you're going to see, he'll probably go on to a top club in the next few years, really.
Is he your main target this weekend?
Well, he's the best. He's the best player in probably on the pitch, isn't he, on Saturday? I think everybody knows when Wilfred gets it is dangerous. We've got to hope that we can cope with that, and our forwards can create chances.
It is a pressured situation, there's no doubt about it for your players. Have they got the mental strength to deal with this level of pressure? Because it is huge, but then there are some pundits who are saying, well, if any team's going to find themselves in this situation, Cardiff City are probably one of those. Yeah,
we seem to be like this every other week, don't we? It's I don't think mental issues come into it with us. I think we can give, I was disappointed in that first half. I haven't been disappointed really much this season in the effort. We always give effort. We're sometimes a little bit limited, but you can't say that 2 games to go, we're still in it. You can look back over the last few weeks, and there has been pivotal, like at the commission, I think we showed 13 incidents that we felt were major incidents since January that have gone against us. Not one given us. 13's an awful lot, really. And you just don't need to play well. You need a bit of luck as well.
Do you get any sort of sense from your dealings with them that the governing bodies have some sympathy for that, and that they might?
No, I don't, Fran. I'll shut you up quick there. I don't think they have any sympathy whatsoever, really. So they've got a job to do. They've got to raise revenue, and they, as best they can, I'm sure, would imagine they'll be looking at this interview in half an hour's time, seeing if I've said anything untoward.
No, fair enough. Just in terms of how you're dealing with the situation then, I mean, you're an experienced man, you're a very experienced manager. Are you feeling stressed, or is there a slightly masochistic side of you that thrives on this sort of thing?
No, I'm a little bit sad, if I'm honest. You're bound to be a bit sad, aren't you? You think even in the last 3 or 4 games, 1 or 2 more points would have made it an easier situation. Whereas we have to beat 2 teams now in a tough league, and so it's we're in that situation, but. I think we may have accepted that early on in the season if you'd have told us we were still fighting with a chance with 2 games to go. You still get people tell you where you're going wrong in the media, etc. You just got to get on with it and do your own thing, really.
And what have you seen of the mood in the dressing room? How are your players feeling?
No, it's been good. They've all been good. It's I can't fault them, really. I think it's just they're that kind of lads, they're that kind of group of lads, really. I think last week we finished with 11 lads out of the championship, so I can't fault that, and they'll give it the best shot against Palace. I'm sure they will. It's it'll be I don't think a pressure game. It'll just be a game, whether we can nullify their threats and whether we can take advantage of our own players.
And throughout the season, you've been very sort of complimentary towards the fans and the support of the fans. They could do with being 12 man up there.
Well, I don't even have to ask them that, Fran. That it just goes without saying, really. They've just been amazing. Even probably the few that have had a go at, want to have a go at me, they've bit the tongue and got behind us. They've just been incredible, I think. Never experienced anything like it, and it does make it easier to try and motivate the team when things are like that. But it's almost like I'm actually one of them doing the team talk. There's some like Blackie that would disagree with my team selection, or Ronnie and some of the others. But you always get that. You have to do your own thing, really.
Football is a ruthless business, and we were talking to Joe Bennett yesterday and saying that, do you ever look at, say, a team like Brighton, who you are now in direct competition with, and think, I wish it wasn't Brighton, I like Brighton, I wish it was somebody else involved in this? Or does football have no sentimental? No, I like. I mean, Chris is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I do look at Brighton and think, how did they beat Palace when I watched Knockout should have got sent off in the first minute and they got a 1-0 win? You look back at games like that and think, but I'm sure they'll do that with us as well. Are you with me? I think it's just natural. But it's a lovely club, well run as well. And Chris is well supported behind the scenes, so it's good luck. They're all, the pressure's off them all apart from Brighton now, so they can all enjoy the end of the season, really. So if you sent them down, ultimately do send them down, will you feel sympathetic? Or
well, you can ask me that when we've won 2 games.
That's fair enough. That's fair comment.
Okay. It would be nice to go to Old Trafford knowing we've got to win. Knowing that could still keep us in the league. That would be that's my one objective as we talk today.
And bearing in mind, I'm not trying to underestimate them, but bearing in mind the sort of form that Manchester United are in at the moment, it could be a good time there to go and do that. Will that be part of the sort of motivation for your players, talking to your players that, look, if we can get this past Palace, maybe... No,
I think it all goes very well for a nice press conference before Man United game if we can beat Palace.
All right then, I'm being preemptive, I do take the message. Will you be sending any message to Unai Emery, telling him sort of, come on mate, I need a...
Not really, no, not really. They have to win that game. If they draw, it doesn't matter, does it? With the point situation, so not really. I think that those days are gone now. A few other teams in the last few weeks, I think, could have played better games against them, but that's by and by.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Neil, you say you were disappointed with the Fulham performance first half. How do you ensure, given that this is must-win, given that you can't afford any regrets, how do you get your team to play like they did in the last 10 minutes? for the whole year?
Well, we have to look. Obviously, we've got quite a number of injured players at the minute, so we've just got to look at where we can put players in to give us a little bit more impetus, So that's been what we've been looking at this week. How we can get more attacking play from within the group of squad that we've got left now that are fit.
Does it need for a change in attitude? Do they need?
No, really. I just thought they were, for whatever reason, they were apprehensive. Whether that had, we talked about nerves, whether that got to them. We didn't go out to say let's be cautious, like the locals have said. Let's be cautious, and that's rubbish. That we set them out to let's get at them, But it wasn't to materialise. One or two players were disappointing on the day, and I didn't think we put enough pressure on their defence at all in that first half. That's what disappointed me the most. But we changed it, and we showed what is possible.
At the start of the season, having to win against Palace wouldn't have seemed such a bad fixture to choose. Since the turn of the year, they've won more points away from home than anybody else in the league apart from Manchester City.
I think they're geared for that. They've got a strong side at the back. They're very solid in midfield. I signed a few of them. McCarthy's one of my favourite lads, and he's just a manager's dream. And Wilfred and whoever plays up front with him, I think they've got that ability to break really quickly and punish you. So it's an ideal scenario, really. Ingredient, Arsenal, they beat them the last time away from home, didn't they? And they beat Man City earlier this season. So puts a little bit in perspective against us.
You mentioned about Zaha. When you found him at Palace, it was perhaps damaged goods after what had happened to him?
He wasn't in a good place, no, he wasn't in a good place. I met him in the chairman's office. We were talking to him and I had half an hour with him. And it was obvious then how, he felt let down by Manchester United. And really, when I spoke to him, I could understand why. He's only a young lad, a really young lad, and he needed help, really, and an arm round the shoulder. But it didn't appear that he got any of that. But that's what you do. You go away and rekindle that enthusiasm. And he's always had the tremendous skill, and now he's showing people. And I'm sure, like I say, in the next few years, he'll go to one of the top clubs, really, in Europe.
What have you made of the job that Roy Hodgson's done at Palace?
Well, he's steadied the ship, hasn't he? I think they were in a bit of a mess, and he just brought some traditional standards back to the club, and they've never really been in a threat of relegation. I don't think, with the squad that they've got. They've got so many decent players in that squad. They're probably a little bit disappointed they're not higher, if I'm honest. I would put them in alongside your likes of Wolves and West Ham, when I look at the squad they've got.
A lot of people have started to anticipate what will happen if the worst happens for you tomorrow, in terms of the future of some of your players, and there's speculation already about the likes of Josh Murphy. Do you anticipate a lot of change if the worst does happen?
Not really. I said yesterday, I think somebody said, one of the lads, I don't know whether they were joking, said we're going to get a 20 million offer for Etheridge, Gaffer. What would you do? And Neil was sat there. I said, well, I'd put him in my car and drive him there. And I won't let him out until he'd signed. You just have to take it all with a pinch of salt, really. There's bound to be clubs circling to look at what you've got, but would any of our players get in any of their sides? You don't know, do you, what other teams are thinking about? I'm sure one or two will have looked at Victor. We hope Victor, Victor's not, that probably was his worst game that we've had at Fulham. Possibly if it weren't Victor, we'd think about leaving him out, but can you leave him out? So it's he was disappointed. He knows himself he was disappointed. So hopefully he will have one of his better games tomorrow. But as far as the others concerned, any good offers for our players would be considered, because if the worst come to the worst and we went down, then you have to look at making one or two changes, and possibly one or two new faces will help the rest of the squad. But if you stay up, there'll be nobody leaving unless we want them to go.
Would a few more signings last summer have made a difference to the position you're in now?
Well, I don't think I should go on to that. I mean, I got criticised. I mean, Martin Samuel had his normal. He normally has 4 goes at me a year, and he had a go at me for mentioning Salah. So I don't think we should go into that. Really, I'm disappointed we didn't get the striker in January, but I can't really say much at all. Really, I think last summer we did what we could do. Really, with everything that we had, all the funds that we had, I thought we did, as well as we could be expected. Really.
You touched on an important point earlier on with reference to your fine, Neil, and you made the point after the hearing about what you feel is a different view of clubs, perhaps at the bottom of the table than the top clubs. How do you and other managers get around that problem? Is it?
No comment, Graham.
Right. But it's an issue that obviously you feel has affected your results this season, and you feel that other managers maybe feel the same, but unable to say so.
Well, you're saying it, not me. I just say no comment.
But do you think there are other managers who feel the same?
You'll have to ask them.
One guy perhaps who was a bit sympathetic towards you is Azpilicueta.
Quite right. I was going to say that, but I can never get his name right. She's been teaching me, Amy, Azpilicueta, because I get Apicacella or somebody or other,
He suggested he may pay your fine.
Well, I think so, because they got winning bonuses, didn't they, Chelsea? Which they all know as being footballers that they shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have got anything at all. So that would be nice, that, yeah.
Justice.
No, I'm not saying justice. It would be nice of Azpilicueta to do it.
Check the 2 crowdfunding accounts before you came in.
50 pence.
Well, a bit more. One of them has raised 500 quid and the other one has raised 15 quid.
The 15 quid just as important, because I think it's lovely. I just think it's nice. We told the FA we'd had over 100 letters from. You can't believe some of the clubs that I'm going to keep them for my retirement. Some of the clubs that you would never envisage. Quite a few saying, "Well, I've always thought Warnock says so and so, so and so, so and so," which I won't repeat now. But in this case, so I really appreciate those letters. I think it was, and they all said they wrote to the FA as well, but the FA never mentioned their letters to me.
2 wins from now would be worth 20,000 quid, wouldn't it?
I just think we have to beat Palace, a good Palace side first, and that's all you can ask, really. I think we can't look at anything else. As I said, it would be lovely to go to Old Trafford, having to win the game there and give us something to do rather than just go out for the day.
Neil, some Crystal Palace fans have been joking that because of their rivalry with Brighton, they'd actually quite like to see their team lose tomorrow. You expecting it?
Yeah, some of my mates are Palace fans, so I say it's too late now. You should have beat them. They lost 6 points to them this season. Should have done it when they got them to play. You get that rivalry, don't you? Brighton and Palace are always really close in the rivalry, and that's what football's about.
You touched on it earlier about the changes that you might have made at Fulham and the attacking intent. How much more can you do with this group? Because you mentioned sometimes the matter of being limited. Is there more to come from this group?
I think so. It's difficult because you try and find places for players that you don't think you can leave out, and one or two of them to me have proved that they can't do every job. So we've had to sort of accommodate the odd player, and we've got to keep looking at how we can do that. Do we leave ourselves a little bit more open by doing what you're saying? But with 2 games to go, we've nothing to lose. I don't want us to be tepid. I want us to be, to have a go, really. So I'll be disappointed if we don't have a go tomorrow.
Just on the season as a whole, you've mentioned the fans and how good they've been. Contrast that maybe to the last time they're in the Premier League, that protest about the red shirts and so on. Do you sense that this club is united, even if it does?
Yeah, I think it's back as one now, isn't it? It's a club now where every member that comes through the gates is proud to be a Bluebird. I think that's all. That's what I would take from my time here. Whenever I leave, would be how proud I was to actually give them the club back. Whereas you know, you don't get any bickering now. You don't get any, you know, infighting in within groups, etc. It's lovely when you see people pulling in the same direction. And it's not easy managing Cardiff City. Let me tell you that now. It's as difficult a job as I've ever had. And you know, I think if I wasn't as experienced as I am, it would have been almost an impossible job at times. But I've really enjoyed the challenge, and I'm going to give it my best shot for the last 2 games.
Just finally, just in terms of team news, I think Harry Arter was the only.
Yeah, I don't think he'll make it. He's done some training this week, unless there's quite an improvement today. We've got a couple of 2 or 3 little knocks, so we'll see how they are in general after this. Okay.
Neil, a lot of fans are asking the question about Bobby Reid. I've not seen an awful lot.
Sorry, who did?
A lot of fans are asking the question about Bobby Reid.
Yeah.
There's been some suggestions that perhaps he deserves a bit more game time. What's your reaction?
Well, he's unlucky, really. I think his best position is where I'm playing Victor. My argument would be, you know, at times it's easy for people on the outside, but we felt that Victor's role there has been more instrumental with us picking up the results. And when we've played Victor in a 2, it's not been anywhere near as, you know, we've been under the cosh a lot. So it's just worked out that we've felt that Victor, you know, and you could play him wide, but is he better wide than the wide players we've got? I don't think so, you know. So he's been a bit unlucky, really, if I'm honest.
And in terms of injury news, you mentioned Kenneth Sahor was carrying a knock after the Fulham game.
Yeah, he's all right. Ken's all right. He's trained really well this week, Ken.
And also talked about Josh Murphy after that game. You mentioned.
Yeah, Josh is trained. He's trained a lot better this week as well. You know, it's, you know, you can't just turn things on in football. You have to, you know, you have to train like you play. You can't just turn up on a Saturday and play. It doesn't work like that. So hopefully, you know, the lessons learnt, and he'll play a major part over the next 2 games.
You touched on the speculation transfer-wise. I guess it's that time of year, really. Is that ever in danger of becoming a distraction coming into the
speculation of
other players?
Nah, not this lot now. Yeah, I think if you're a bit higher up, but not this lot. They're down to earth, really. The lads would soon put them in the place if they started talking about this, that, and the other. You know, I would mention 1 or 2 third division clubs looking at them. You know, so it's you know, I'm sure Sol Bamba and Gunners will keep their eye on that. Morrison.
Just on the subject of that, sorry, just very quickly. Obviously, it's going to be his last game, Aaron, last home game against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Going to go out and obviously get the applause of the fans. Just a word about that.
He's been a tremendous servant, hasn't he? I mean, yeah, you know, I mean, I think we missed him at the start of the season. I think Vincent needs a bit of credit for letting me sign him, you know, because it was obvious that he wanted to go to the World Cup, and it might jeopardise the first few, and it did. It jeopardised a few months. So, but I think he's repaid that in the service he's given us, and the way that he is on and off the field is exemplary. You know, I think he'll always be a favourite here down at the Cardiff Stadium.
Nobody gave you a chance of staying up, but you're still slugging. That's what you do. You defy the odds. Are we ever going to see you bringing a team up and staying up?
It doesn't look like it at the minute, does it? We'll have to just, for one reason or another. I didn't blame anything other than Tevez the last time, so and team selection. So this time's a little bit different. So we'll have to see. I think you know, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it.
So at these 2 games, your swan song in the Premier League?
Well, the only time will tell. Saturday night will be the first one,
yeah.
And then the Old Trafford will be the second, the Theatre of Dreams.
But would you still have the appetite for coming back for more?
Coming back for one more in what respect?
If you know,
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody wants to manage at the top level, don't they? I think we've shown that we're more than capable of staying up, really, all things being equal. But that's how life is.
Just going back to your tape with the FA, you talked about the barrister that they had. Did you have legal representation?
I had the LMA, yeah. A lovely lady that represented me, if I'm honest, but I just thought it was ironic that they bring an outside barrister in.
Fight, isn't it?
Well, but that's that's life. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.